You know, in a medical setting, the tiny little details in how we speak can make a world of difference. Today, we're going to dive into those nuances of professional English, the small stuff that's absolutely critical for clarity, for your confidence, and of course, for patient safety. So let's get into it. All right, let's kick things off with a quick question. Take a look at these two sentences. He said the results were worrying versus he said he was worried by the results. Do you know the difference? I mean, they look pretty similar, but they actually communicate two very, very different ideas. And that really gets to the heart of what we're talking about today. In a high-stakes place like a hospital, getting this right isn't just about good grammar. It's about making sure your communication is crystal clear, with no room for error. And hey, by the end of this, you'll know exactly why these are different and how to use them perfectly. So let's start with the absolute fundamentals, the building blocks of all communication, the verbs we use to report what's going on. Getting these right is essential for things you do every day, like patient handovers or team briefings. First up, say versus tell. This is a classic one that trips a lot of people up. But the rule, it's actually super simple. Tell always, and I mean always, needs a person. You have to tell someone something. Say, on the other hand, doesn't need anyone. You just say it. See how that works? The nurse told the family. The object here is the family. The verb told has to have that. It creates this direct link showing us exactly who got the information. And what's great about this slide is it shows the mistake we hear all the time. You can't just say, she told that. It feels like it's hanging, right? It's missing who she told. So you either have to switch verbs and say she said that, or you've got to add the person. She told us. Simple as that. Okay, let's build on that with two more really important verbs, explain and describe. Now, the rule here is just as strict, but check this out. It's a little different. You can't just stick the person right after the verb. You have to connect them with that tiny, crucial word, to. And this just lays it out perfectly. Saying, I explained to the patient is just wrong. What did you explain? You explained the procedure. And who did you explain it to? To the patient. That little word to is the secret sauce here. It's not optional, and using it correctly makes you sound so much more professional. All right, next up, let's talk about those tiny little words that can be a huge headache for so many people. Articles. You know, a, an, and the. But I want you to stop thinking of them as some annoying grammar test and start seeing them for what they are, tools to make what you're saying incredibly precise. Let's just break this down. It's pretty straightforward. You use a or an when you introduce something for the first time. Like, we admitted a patient with chest pains. Okay, now we all know which patient we're talking about, right? So from now on, we switch to the. The patient is now stable. Then for general statements, we drop the article completely. Nurses require empathy. We mean nurses in general, not specific ones. And finally, here's a common one. There's no article with home. It's just the patient went home. So why do we even care about this? Well, because using articles correctly is one of those subtle signals that you have a real command of the language. It makes your reports and your instructions just sound more confident, more authoritative. It's a small thing that makes a big impact. All right, we've handled the facts, and now we're getting into the really interesting stuff, moving from just reporting information to conveying nuance. We're talking about the subtle language of feelings, advice, and obligations. This is where English gets really powerful. And look at that, we're back to our opening puzzle. So here's the solution, and it's actually really simple. An adjective ending in ed describes a person's internal feeling. Think of it as what's inside of them. An adjective ending in ing describes the external thing that causes that feeling. This slide just makes it crystal clear, doesn't it? The patient feels confused. Why? Because the instructions were confusing. You feel exhausted. Why? Because your shift was exhausting. So let's circle all the way back to the beginning. He was worried. That's his feeling. The results were worrying. That means the results cause worry. See? Totally different meanings. Here's another key area, modal verbs. And there's a really clear pattern here once you see it. True modals, words like must, can, should, they're followed directly by the next verb, no to. But then you have these semi-modals like have to or need to, and they always need that too. Just spotting that structural difference is the key to getting it right every single time. Okay, so for our final section, let's really level up. We've talked about being correct, which is great. But now let's focus on sounding natural, on sounding polished. And we do that by using collocations, words that just sound right together. Honestly, using the right collocations is a total game changer. You don't just give medicine, you administer it. You don't do a test, you run it. When the computer system isn't working, it's not broken, it's down. Someone doesn't just manage the ward alone, they manage it on their own. Choosing these specific words instantly makes you sound more professional. And hey, just to show you how important the right words are in any high-stakes field, let's take a quick look outside the hospital. The word mortgage, for a home loan, it actually comes from an old French term that means death pledge. Pretty dramatic, right? But it just goes to show you how choosing the precise term really matters. Now, let's bring that focus back to our work. So as we start to wrap up, I want you to remember the real goal here. This was never about passing a grammar quiz. It's all about making sure that when you speak, your communication is clear, precise, and confident. It's about being able to do your job as effectively and safely as possible. And that brings me to my final thought for you. After everything we've just covered, what's the one small change you can make starting today to communicate with more precision? Maybe it's a verb pattern or an article or one of those collocations. Whatever it is, that one small change is your first step to true professional fluency.